Ah, ah, Saturday afternoon jams and grooves. Feeling it. What's up, everybody? Tune in, share it. Go knock on your neighbor's door and let them know what's going to go on this afternoon. It is 3 p.m. Central here in Lincoln, Nebraska. This is going to be awesome. I'm super stoked about this one. Welcome to Dishin with Musicians. This is episode 12. I've got an incredible guest today, filled with passion, energy, and a ton of incredible pandemic food. And he's here to talk music. He's here to talk about himself. He's here to talk about all kinds of stuff, just life in general. Please share this, do your part, and let's see what happens here. I'm gonna actually turn a different Wi-Fi on so I get a better connection here. Okay, now we're moving and grooving. I don't know how I was even online before. Okay, boom. I think we're good. Okay, so I'm gonna get him on because this is incredible. So I'm stoked. People are already tuning in. What's up, Ableton for Life? We're rocking some comments already. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Darren Keen. What's up, dog?
Hello.
Oh, you're
What's
creating the multiverse.
I want to see the chat. Where do I see the chat? Oh, I gotta go to the Facebook.
Yep. No, you can see it on your back. Well, I believe you should be able to see some comments on the back end there.
Okay, maybe now that I'm in.
Yeah. I'm gonna turn this. I'm gonna turn this ruckus off.
But whatever, it's all good.
Oh, private chat. Yeah. You might have to open up a Facebook window if you want to get the real snuff.
I got my phone open here. We'll just keep it going like that. So what's up?
Hi. How are you?
Very good.
Man.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, I appreciate you being on this show. It's kind of an interesting little thing I put together. I just wanted to get to know musicians, and I wanted people to know the musician's story. And you're more than a musician to me, actually. You're I wouldn't even qualify you as a musician, and I don't mean that in an offensive way.
No, I wouldn't either.
I mean that in the ultimate artistic way. I think that you are an artist. I think what you do is beyond. It goes beyond anything just music. Your social media threads are incredible to follow, I will say. And you and I's history goes back, and most of the musicians I've had some kind of history with, but you and I go back to when we were like teenagers.
Yeah.
Hanging out at the infamous Knickerbockers on O Street.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I met you. Actually, you came in, I was doing sound, and you came in with your band, Musico. And man, just destroyed me. And at the time I was really into performance art. I was like studying performance art. I was very much into theatrical stuff and figuring out a way to bring the audience in to your show. And you encompass that exactly. So it really it blew my mind, man. It really did. So
Musico was sweet. I learned so much being in that band. Like I replaced my guitar teacher in that band.
Oh, no way.
I mean, I'm a competent guitar player, but like Glenn, the guy I replaced, he's in like Pet Rock and some cool bands from Omaha.
Oh, he's in Pet Rock?
And he plays
they're great.
Steamroller and stuff. He's like incredible.
Yeah.
Whereas like I'm more a vibe-based guitar player, but I mean, I learned so much from those guys because they were really into improvising, but not musically. It was more about like holding down a little beat and then like talking to the audience, engaging the audience or each other. There was a Tenacious D element to that band.
Yeah, totally.
Like kind of comedy, but we never planned any of that. It was all just like spur of the moment. Like we would just try to turn the venue upside down. I learned so much about that idea from those guys. I always liked, like when I was in high school, my idea of like a cool performance was like putting Liberty spikes in my hair and trying to mosh like Corn or whatever. And those guys taught me about like actual like ways to grip an audience,
Yeah. Well, I was in the Semrad brothers at the time. I was coming out of Rocket FM, and I was in the Semrad brothers, which absolutely was a Tenacious D ripoff.
Oh, I remember Rocket FM, by the way.
Yeah. There's
some Hardy.
Yeah, I know. I just talked to him
He
yesterday.
designed a
Yeah.
ship for me. I saw him in San Francisco not so long ago. It was
Oh, that's
awesome.
cool, man. Yeah, those cats are
Not so
man. They
long ago. It's
they
been like
ch
10 years
they
ago.
changed my life, man. Those guys, they changed my life, and
Yeah.
but my brother Drew and I were in a band called the Semrad Brothers, and we
Mhm.
opened up for Jonathan Richman
Oh,
at
nice.
Knickerbockers, and so we were kind of this kind of comedy. We had songs like called Weasel and all kinds of weird,
Mhm.
we had fun with it. But I mean,
That's hilarious.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I
I
love your
know.
name today. You're going as Darren Keen Semrad,
There's
long
so many
lost.
of you fucking Semrads.
I
Like,
know,
come on,
long
you
lost
too,
brother.
man. What the fuck? I have hung out with your dad. Come on.
Yeah,
I'm
I know. I know.
honorary, man.
Pinky's in the house, man. He's
Yeah, good.
he's a big Darren Keen fan.
Yeah, he's a
So
nice
yeah,
guy.
how can you not be? And I guess I do want to delve into the history of you and your music. But today's show is really about just fun, and I don't care what we talk about. Honestly, I didn't plan anything because I knew it would just I wanted to see where the wind took us. But I do want to chat a little bit about obviously your history with music, and I want to know your background because I think a lot of people probably are curious about that too. Who influenced you to pick up a musical instrument of any kind?
When I was young, like 8th and 7th and 8th grade, I started getting interested in music. I was like a real brainy kid in school and stuff. Like I was like the kid who put his backpack on and walk real fast and all that. Like
Right?
true nerd, you know. And I just started really enjoying singing. I was like school choir was my introduction to music, and then
Okay, interesting.
yeah, I there were these guys I knew a little bit in 8th grade, and they were in like the jazz band and that kind of shit,
Yeah.
and at school, and I wasn't in anything like that. And then I said to them, "Hey, we should start a band. I'll be the singer." And so they were like, "Yeah, cool." We set up a time to practice. There was a bassist, a drummer, and a guitarist, and they were like, "You need to bring a PA to practice to sing through, like a little PA or something." I was like, "Okay,
Okay.
cool." So I went to Dietz to buy a PA, but ended up showing up to that first band practice. This is absolutely true. The first band practice with these guys I barely knew, and I had a Hamer Slammer guitar and a crate amp, and I was like, "I play guitar now too.
Yes.
I'm gonna be the rhythm guitarist in this band." Apparently.
Nice, dude.
And they were
Killer.
like, "What the fuck, dude? Like, you were supposed to."
Self-invited.
Yeah, and I was like, "I
Deal
don't
with
think
it.
I wanna play rhythm guitar." And so, anyway, it all worked out. We were like, just a shitty high school band for a long time. We eventually.
What was your name? Did you have a band name?
Yeah, yeah. It's terrible. We were called the Status State or just Status State. Ugh,
Status State. Ooh,
terrible.
I mean, it's bad, but it's not the worst I've heard.
Well, when you're a bunch of rich kids from the
Yes.
suburbs of Lincoln, it's not. It kind of seems a little shitty in hindsight. Like, yeah,
Status
Status State,
State.
what up?
No, that's great. That's
Yeah,
great.
we practice on the golf course, yo. Uh, but yeah. Anyway,
That's great. So when did you actually have like a public performance?
oh yeah, yeah. We played a Knickerbockers bunch and
Oh,
like
cool,
Old Ranch
cool.
Bowl,
Okay.
and then we opened for Motley Crue at Pershing.
What?
Yeah, we won like a multi-tiered battle of the bands put on by the Blaze, and we got to open for Motley Crue at Pershing.
How was that?
It was cool. I mean, like it was like
Did you
they
meet
were
him?
supposed to do like a meet and greet and hang out with us, and then when they saw how young we were, they just like pieced out from all that.
Oh yeah.
Tommy Lee was really nice to our drummer. He let him fuck around on his drums, and like Tommy Lee was cool. But I
Let you
mean,
play
like,
the drums.
yeah.
Whoa. That's cool.
But yeah, it was like I don't know. It was
Yeah.
just like there was another band that was on tour. It was like one of those bands has a name like Audio Machine or something totally forgettable. I think it had
Right.
audio. It was like not Audio Slave. I remember that band, but it was
Yeah.
like Audio Vent, and then
Yeah.
like so it was just
Wow.
like those guys doing a bunch of cocaine around us, a bunch of
Sure.
middle schoolers. James
Yeah.
Valentine kid.
That's crack, dude. Oh my
Yeah,
god. Can I tell you a real quick Motley Crue story?
yeah, please.
Okay, so there was a bar called it was a part of the let's see, it was called the Green Mill, not to be confused with the Chicago's Green Mill, but
Mm,
it was downtown Lincoln. It's where the Graduate Hotel is now.
okay.
So anyway, I was the very first bartender they hired there in
Uh-huh.
college, and a week or so into bartending, the Cornhusker Hotel was under construction, and lo and behold, guess who was Motley Crue was staying at the hotel. It was a
I wonder
Holiday
if
Inn
it
at the
was
time.
I wonder if it was when I played with them.
Probably it was a
Uh,
Holiday Inn at the time. Yeah, this would have been like 97. No,
yeah,
97 ish.
yeah.
Okay, that was probably it. But so he was on probation and he had a protection order with the whole Pamela Anderson thing. And
Whoa.
so Vince came in to the bar and he was just like previously holding his baby on like VH1, saying, I gave up everything. I'm sober and this and that. His first drink he ordered from me was a quadruple vanilla Stoli shot.
Wow.
Chilled, which is illegal to serve, but it's Vince Neil.
Yeah,
right?
it's Vince Neil. Yeah.
Yeah. So he just chugged it and left, came back, hammered. I guess he went down the street to get a tattoo and drank more. And came back and somebody came up and asked his bodyguard for an autograph, I think it went. And he grabbed the shirt from the fan and threw it, and his arm went through all these margarita glasses hanging down from the bar and shattered all over me and went into my ice and everything.
Oh my God.
And I was like, I just looked at him and I go, get the fuck out of my bar right now. And so and Carrie was on the phone with my wife at the time, girlfriend then. She was like, I'm going to come down to see him. And I go, I just threw his ass out. I just kicked him out. Yeah, but that was the same. It had to have been the same tour because they played it.
Yeah, it obviously was. It's so funny because like that kind of debauchery, like sound like, okay, if I heard that story or you heard that story like 20 years ago and it didn't involve you and it was just like a story, it'd be like, wow, rock stars rule. And then like as it's like, well, I was the fucking bartender and me being all sober and boring now, it's like, man, these guys are dicks. Like none of that sounds cool to me.
None of it, no. Like, and then Tommy came into the bar and he had the cornrows and shit.
Yeah.
And they said that Pamela was in the hotel too. I guess they had been seeing each other outside of the protection order. But I know you're right though. It's like they were dicks. Like
it's not.
It wasn't.
It's cool now. It's so funny.
No. Yeah. I got to say, you're not boring, by the way. And whether or not you're sober or not, I think that's kick ass. You know what I mean. There's nothing in shame about that, but you're a fucking fascinating person.
I don't know if you got this, but at the time, James Valentine was my guitar teacher. So he came to the show. So that was kind of cool, like hanging out with him backstage at a Motley Crue show. Like now that sounds, at the time he was just James from Square, but now it's like, oh yeah, I was a high schooler kicking it with James from Maroon 5 backstage at a Motley Crue show,
yeah, right.
That pedigree, I was just kind of born into the whole thing,
So you came up taking lessons from him. Man, that's a nice intro. So he taught at Dietz, I think, didn't he?
He was a great teacher. He was real, and he knew I wasn't into like doing like the jazzy type stuff he was, so proficient at. And I wasn't really interested in lead playing. I was interested in things like the first song I ever had him teach me. This sounds so fucking bananas now. Was "Paranoid Android" by by Radiohead.
Nice.
I was like really interested in like I was like, well, what is happening to make this song sound like this? And so it was almost like he was kind of teaching me theory at the same, and I was taking music theory in high school.
Yeah.
Luckily East had a little theory class you could take. And so I was more interested in like the compositional nature of it. So even now to this day, even though I write in the computer, when I'm composing, my mind, I do picture the guitar fretboard a lot. I think of the guitar fretboard so compositionally, just because that's just kind of like going back to learning such a musically dense song at such a young age on guitar. And I mean, obviously I didn't have it played perfectly. Like I wasn't like, I'm still really bad at finger picking, but like just understanding like what was happening in that song musically, like on the guitar really was helpful for me to write my own music or whatever,
That's incredible. My son is actually playing that in his bedroom. Like
super cool
this week.
Jim Schroeder, I just saw the Jim Schroeder band had his release parties, and they have a new tune that does a big similar chord progression to one of my favorite, like this descending thing where it hits like a big major 6 chord, and it's really similar. It's in the same key as Paranoid Android, and I heard that and I got so excited. I like, it's just a coincidence, and it's not like it doesn't sound like Paranoid Android, but just that compositionally it was so similar. I was like, oh, that's fucking awesome. It sounded so good.
So for those people that don't know, James Valentine is currently the guitar player in Maroon 5.
Yeah, and
he had a nice Nebraska lineage, transition out of a band called Square and Happy Dog, and and I
Kid
know
Corkstar before that. I go deep.
Kid Corkstar. Holy moly!
I think he was in the Self-Righteous Brothers a little bit too, or whatever they were called.
Really?
A little bit. Yeah, I think so. Like I think he jammed with them at least. So I kind of remember him telling me that. Yeah.
That was one of my favorite bands. We've talked about them on this podcast before. Nice. Self-Righteous Brothers. They're so fun. Talk about spectacle and music, right?
Yeah.
Like they had the visual.
I never saw it. I don't know about him. Was Mike Keeling in it?
Mike Keeling was on bass, or no, he was the lead singer. Keeling was the lead
I want to
singer.
see Mike Keeling sing in a band now. I would love to see that, dude.
He's just such a great frontman, and Brian Johnson was the other frontman. And they did these like lounge lizard dance steps.
Yeah.
And they wore at the beginning of the show, they all had white tuxedos and they looked nice and all buckled up. By the end of the show, they were naked.
That's pretty much what I've heard, is that it started out looking real classy, and by the end it was just descended into mayhem, you know?
Oh, it was totally.
That's the legacy as far as I know,
yeah. Yeah, absolute mayhem for sure. Tyler Dutter says 1997 greatest hits tour.
He was in Status State with me. He was our original drummer.
Oh, I know Tyler, man. Tyler was your drummer. That's fun.
Tyler was the drummer.
Wow.
He was really into 311. He got Orange drums made, Orange County drums or whatever, made by the same guy who made Chad Sexton's kit.
Oh, wow.
He loved that piccolo snare.
Yeah. The tank. Oh,
that snare still drives me crazy, buddy. But
yeah, I know I can't do that.
Tyler's a big food guy, so I've bounced some stuff on Tyler because he's vegetarian and he's a really sick. She's always been a sick chef, and he's been bouncing around the Lincoln food scene for a while. Nice. That was a dope chef. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. He's a great guy. Great.
Yeah.
They're wonderful people. Okay, so let's jump through this. So that got you to high school, college hits. What happens?
I started Musico went on our first tour the week after I graduated high school.
Oh, wow.
So I just started touring, and I was like kind of booking Musico tours too. Like I was real interested in touring. I was like seeing like bands like Cursive and Bright Eyes, like the Saddle Creek stuff that was just like, they weren't super famous yet. They were just like right on that cusp, you know. Dance Macabre hadn't happened for the faint yet. And so like I was seeing those bands and thinking like, well, if they can tour, I can tour. Like what's the difference? I have a band. Like Musico's great. We can go. So we just did like a couple little like 2-week long runs around the Midwest. Went to, you know, Chicago, Dallas, you know, that about that far out, Denver, but never like to the coast or anything.
Okay.
Musico had gone out to New York before I was in it, but anyway, like and then right, so I joined the band, and then like we did a little bit of touring, and right then our drummer Mark, who is one of the greatest fucking drummers in Nebraska, he plays in Omaha Beat Brigade now.
Oh.
And he's played with Shows Rainbow on and off throughout the years too, but he started wanting to do the family thing. And so he wanted to quit Musico. And I had just started experimenting with computers at that time, playing with computer music. And I had Reason 1.0 software. Well, actually, I didn't even have it. JJ Ite of Eagle Seagull fame had it. And I actually broke into his house while he was away. His parents were upstairs. I snuck into their house, broke into this is true. It's like they were so fucking pissed, and recorded like 6 songs in his basement while his parents were upstairs. They thought he was down there, but I was down there. And
wow.
Oh man, they were fucking furious at me. And that's so dumb of me, but that's like, that's why I'm a fucking drug addict and alcoholic. And so I'm so compulsive. Like I had gotten a little taste of computer music, and I was like, I will break into a friend's house to make an album if that's what I have to do. Like I was so compelled.
You just had to have it.
I couldn't fucking deal with it. Yeah. Wow. So but me and JJ are great friends now. Obviously, this is just like a little bleeper in our history. This is before Eagle Seagull even happened. I mean, this is so long ago. But anyway, so I started Shows Rainbow right at the end of Musico. We were in the van, the Musico van on the way back from a gig in Iowa, and I asked the guys, I was like, do you think I could do a band where like I just pre-record all the music and then I just sing over like a Discman, like just put like the music on a CD, like karaoke, but like all original music? And they were both like, the guys, they're really good friends of mine, so I love these guys, but they were kind of like a little dismissive of the idea, you know, like, oh, that's stupid. That doesn't rock, you know. We were kind of like rock guys or whatever.
Right.
But I really
were you calling yourself the Show is the Rainbow with this band?
I thought of it. Yeah, I thought of the name right away.
But you had live musicians play with you too, right?
Not initially, not for years.
Okay.
The first like 7 or 8 years of Shows Rainbow, it was just me and a Discman, and then me and a tower computer. I was too cheap to buy a laptop. I just toured with my PC.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it was just me singing over beats and stuff for years.
Okay. I thought I saw Javid's name on there somewhere.
Then like,
that was later. Okay.
7 or 8 years into it, Jim and Javid they just did like one giant tour with me for the Gymnasia album, which is kind of like the album that most people of mine heard. It sold a lot, and like it was on college radio. It's the album of mine that did the best, you know, probably. Well, that and Wet Fist. But anyway, like, and so yeah, Jim and Javid, we did like a 6-week US tour and a 6-week European tour for that album. And then Javid went on some of the Wet Fist tour with me too. Like I did a month supporting the Faint, and he went on that part with me. You know.
Oh my! Wow.
The cool part. Yeah.
That's
of course.
incredible.
I mean,
so for 7 years, you were solo.
Probably about that. Yeah. I mean, I'm honestly, I'm just pulling numbers out of my ass, but yeah, 5 to 7, probably. Yeah.
Really? Wow.
Oh
That's
yeah, long
incredible,
time.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can actually kind of figure it out. I mean, 2003 to like 2009. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And you, I remember being in the music scene, kind of, you know, toying at the idea of all of us in Rocket FM had talked about moving to Chicago. And so we were kind of looking to get out and do more. But I remember seeing your tour schedules and just being like, holy man, this kid is like, you were going to Europe and you were going all over the place.
I was just like another band. So around that time, a band that you might remember from the Rocket FM days that also really inspired me, that wasn't from Nebraska. I was really into Haymarket Riot.
Oh yeah, we played with them a lot.
I'm sure you did.
From
Yeah,
Chicago.
I love that fucking band.
They were
and
incredible.
I love that whole Divot Records scene out there. I thought that was such a cool label.
Yeah,
and Bright Con Blue was on that label a little
Bright
bit.
Con Blue,
the
yeah.
Switchy set came out on that.
Right.
And I wrote the dude Kevin, I think his name was, from Haymarket Riot, an email. Just cold wrote him an email, and I was like, "Hey, I've been touring America. I'm friends with Bright Con Blue a little bit," which was probably a lie. At that time, I think those guys kind of hated my guts, but we all eventually became friends.
Yeah.
And I was like, "I want to tour Europe. Like, I see you're in Belgium. Like, I want to be in Belgium. Why am I not in Belgium?" And he's like, "I'll write you some advice when I get home. I'm on tour in Europe now. Let me get home." And I thought, yeah, okay, whatever. And like a month later, he got home and he like wrote me like a nice little email. It was just like, "Here's some tour booking resources." He's like, "If you're solo, you can do it by train." And that's what I did. I've done almost all my European tours, except for the one with Javid and Jim. I do them all on trains. I just I get the Eurail pass, which is like a 30-day unlimited train pass.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it kind of takes a lot of the hard work out of it, because it's like if I have to, if I'm, let's say I'm in for example, like I'm in the Netherlands, like way west in Europe, but then I can get a show in Prague the next day. Well, that's a 12-hour train ride, but it's like, well, I don't have to pay I've already paid for the pass. I can just sit there for 12 hours and veg out to get to the next show. Absolutely. So it kind of frees up the routing aspects of the tour to just like get that unlimited pass, and then just book wherever we'll book you on whatever day. You know, so you took sensible routing, but it doesn't always work like that.
Yeah. So you took you didn't have much gear, I take it then.
No, I was touring. By the time I went to Europe, I had a laptop. And then, so it was like the show was all contained on a laptop. Wow. And so really all I had to bring merch and luggage.
Wow. That's great.
Yeah. And I was such a dumbass. I did everything. This is totally the Keen mailing me. This is my dad and his brothers and their dad. I did everything the hard way for no purpose. Like to save $20 or something stupid. Like, for example, like instead of like making the merch in Europe at a European merch manufacturing place, I would make it here in Nebraska and put it into suitcases and take it with me, because like I would do the math and it'd be like, well, I can save $35, and it's like I'm at the airport with like 2 suitcases, for like 12 hours of travel. And it's like, I don't mean to say like I'm balling now, because I'm absolutely not, but like I'll spend that $35 now. There's value in time, and there's value in energy consumption too. Like this last tour I just went on, I don't want to get too far ahead, but I did it all on buses and trains, and mostly buses. And like I learned on that tour, like, dude, I can do some Greyhounds. I'm not a diva, but like I can't do 10 days straight on a Greyhound, because like my ass is sore and I'm tired, and like
it takes it out. It takes it out of you.
They don't go at functional times. Like I'm getting into Kansas City at 7 a.m. waiting for my Airbnb to open up at 3. It's just like, what am I doing for 9 hours? Like you can't. I'm at the bus station in Kansas City, where the hotbed of culture, and like where do I go for 9 hours?
Yeah. Well, and nowadays it's totally different. They've got the mega bus, which you can ride if you're in a class that can afford internet. You can actually or have a credit card. You can book all these great bus rides all over the country. So
Megabus is not doing the Midwest anymore, dude.
Oh, did they pull out? Really? They pulled out of Chicago?
Nope, can't go to Chicago on Megabus.
Oh anymore. No!
I had to do the overnight Greyhound. It was brutal. It was That
sucks. Wow. Megabus was sweet. They had Wi-Fi and everything.
Awesome. Yeah. The Greyhound says they have Wi-Fi, so that's pretty cool. They advertise Wi-Fi.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They advertised that the sockets on the
Like
power
the
outlets on
driver's hotspot, you know, on his
like
phone.
amazing.
So this is incredible. So you've figured out how to compact your show into a laptop, and you just did it. And so did you do it predominantly touring Europe, or did you also tour, like, what was the
States. I would drive myself on tour in
percentage?
the States. I would
Okay.
say, okay, so like the early years was like 100% American tours, and then like 2000, I made this album called Rad Boys Only. This was like the first kind of like when everything started having a little uptick for me. I started playing more shows at Sokol, started supporting more bigger bands, and this label from London, I met them through Mates of State. They agreed to put out my CD. CDs were a thing, called Rad Boys Only. And let me think here. I that must have been 2000. I don't know, 8 or 9 or something. I can't really remember. It's kind of hard. And I went to Europe for the first time and just did like London. I did 3 days in the UK opening for this really cool band called Les Georges Leningrad from Montreal. They were like a no wave band that was super fucking cool. And
Okay.
then I did just one show in outside of Venice in Padua, Italy, and one show in Vienna, Austria, and that was it. But like then that was enough of a base, kind of like touring America. It's like, okay, I have like 7 solid contacts, so I can go out and do 20 days because if the other 13 days aren't great, I can survive off the 7 good ones, you know? That's kind of how I think of touring. It's like if you have like a few really great spots, then
Yeah.
then it's like as long as the other shows are just like decent and even some can be duds, like, you know, it's okay because you're going to be anchored by these bigger shows and more like reliable scenes or whatever. So anyway, so yeah, so and then but there was a point where it was almost 50-50. I was just kind of flipping. I would just go US tour, European tour, US tour, European tour, back and forth, you know. 6 weekers, 6 weeks on, take 2 weeks off, then 6 weeks of tour, take 2 weeks off, 6 weeks of tour, 2 weeks off,
Wow.
like that and I did that probably for like 4 years, 5 years, just
That
like a
is
crazy person.
wow.
And it was,
That's
I mean, at that point though, I had booking agents in America that helped me. I was like kind of doing pretty good in the States. And so I didn't have to like do all that. I was booking Europe myself for the most part. I think I had an agent kind of help me for one tour, but I never had a European label really. So I just never really had that traction. But yeah, but it was fun as fuck. I mean, anyway,
I bet you saw some incredible. How many shows a year are we talking about?
120 to 170.
Jesus. Wow.
Yeah.
That's getting after it, man.
It was
Yeah.
awesome. It was so fun. And I mean, I stopped touring completely by myself. I would always try to package with bands, and if that didn't work, I would like bring a friend with me, or like sometimes I was able to bring my partner, which was cool, you know, like and like taking like go the very first European tour I went on, I took my girlfriend at the time with me, and I mean that was like going to like um Venice with like my girlfriend at the time, you know. I mean, like
Yeah.
we're homies now, so I'm not trying to like go down romantic memories with a woman that I'm friends with, but like it was sweet. It was fucking cool, you know. It was like a really nice. It's a nice memory, you know. And
Yeah.
like it was really nice at the time. I felt like really like I was like facilitating something that I hope to this day is still a nice memory for her as well. You know, like
That's
it was
great.
like my music was facilitating stuff that like um was beyond like just like playing around town or whatever, you know. And like I I I noticed around that time I was kind of like I was like touring with bigger bands like Minor Self Indulgence and The Faint, stuff like that. But then I was like still doing like DIY touring too. Like sometimes I'd still play house shows in the middle of all that. And
Wow.
like I noticed like a lot of DIY bands that would tour, they'd go tour Europe and then they would come home and break up. And I think the European tour is like the culmination of a lot of people's dream when it comes to like being a musician, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it's like you tour Europe and then you're like, well, what the fuck do we do now? And it's like,
Right.
so you either integrate that into your lifestyle and just become like that kind of band,
Mhm.
or you just break up and you know, okay, I did it. I now have that experience. I can cross it off my bucket list, and now I want to go just like get a job. And I'm not knocking that at all. I'm definitely not shitting on that path. I'm just saying like that's not what I did. I was like, all right, this is what I'm doing now.
You
You
gotta
know,
go to the next step.
I'm
Yep.
balls in. I'm balls
Right.
deep in the shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for the
Wow.
family, yeah. Anyway, so yeah,
Incredible,
yeah,
man.
and so yeah, it was really fun. I mean, it was just and I also don't want to minimize something. I used to kind of minimize this and not really talk about it, but like I mean, it was super fun, but I mean, it was hard work too. And like like I I used to just kind of like, because I was always drunk and high, I just kind of like, oh, I'm just partying, I'm just getting through. But in hindsight, like, I mean, I was like stretching myself pretty thin. I mean, it was like, I mean, that was a
Yeah,
lot of coordination to do. I mean, like, I was tour managing myself essentially, you
sure.
know, for all these shows, and it was just like, it was crazy. I mean, it was a lot of computer clerical work to balance with like the shows themselves, you know.
Yeah. Well, I just get, for a group that has no clue how to do that,
Yeah.
I would think that you'd be an incredible resource for somebody that's looking to,
You know,
it sounds like you did it the right way to where you may have figured out on your own how to cut corners here and there.
yeah, and also, I mean, I just, you know, I used to, I mean, like one thing that was great was like the show trade, you know, and I could offer that. I used to set up a lot of shows, you know, me and Ross kind of both did that Black Blig. Like it was like,
Mhm.
you know, like if someone wanted a show in Lincoln or Omaha, I would help them with that. And I still do a little of that, but like, it's kind of weird now. Like the DIY music scene is really different. I mean, there's a lot less venues and shows and stuff. There used to be booking agents that would book smaller, unsigned, like DIY bands, you know,
Mhm.
like I worked with an agency like that, and then that agency kept getting bigger and bigger, and now that same agency like works with like Mac DeMarco and all these, you know, Ty Segall and stuff like that, and
Mhm.
like those are like the smaller acts they work with, you know. It's like I don't see, and I keep my eye out because I'd love to work with an agent. I don't see like anyone like I don't see the like in the DIY like hardworking, just like do it myself community, like people who are really like, I want to book unsigned bands, you know, I want to work with unsigned artists and like get them out on the road. And that, I'm not complaining about that. It's just a little different. And there used to be more, I think there used to be more venues and stuff for that too. And I
Yeah,
don't know if it was the Holy Ship Fire or what, but it seems like DIY venues are a little further and farther between now.
I
And
agree.
in
Yeah.
Europe too, way more in Europe. Like that was the thing. Like in Europe, I could just get on like this website that they used to have called Book Your Own Fucking Life,
That's
and there was
great.
like there's tons of venues all over that thing. And now there's a website called Do DIY that's kind of the same thing, but like it's scant. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not the same at all. I mean, I could have there was
Right.
like hundreds of venues to write before. Now it's probably 20 to 50, you know, and it's like
Right.
so it's just a little different.
I feel like there should be, and I've talked to a few people about this. In fact, one guy in Omaha that's looking to start a company with his
Mhm.
software. It's a booking software that a band could essentially plug in what cities they want to go to, and it brings up all the great venues and contacts in that city.
Yeah.
But I don't know of many things that do that
There's
anymore.
Indie on the Move, which is a
Indie on the Move
resource.
is kind of that way,
Like,
but yeah,
it's tough because
but contracts don't do contracts go through it?
no, not through it. Well, maybe if you do the premium account, I just do the free thing.
Oh,
But
okay.
I will say this too, like the resources like Indie on the Move, I've probably written a total, like even with problems now, I've probably written a total of like 200 or 300 venues through Indie on the Move, trying to get shows for my 2 tours well, I have one I just did and one I'm going on, and I've gotten 0 gigs out of it. And it's
Really?
like even
Wow.
now, like like I'm looking for shows in Los Angeles right now, and my friends will write me and they'll be like, "Oh, I just saw Flying Lotus at this place, the Terragram Ballroom. You should try to play there." And like that would be like the equivalent of somebody in Lincoln or Omaha or whatever being like, "Hey, I just saw this guy at the big room of Slowdown. You should try
Yeah.
to." And it's like they're not gonna book me. Yeah, like
Yeah,
these
yeah.
like
It's
800 capacity halls in Los Angeles.
yeah.
Like it's like I need like the guy who's like throwing the illegal warehouse party, you know, that has to be over by 11 so the cops don't come. And it's like I don't know. I think people are.
Yeah.
I think this younger generation, they're interested in a lot of different things, and I think they're so like I don't mean to, and I'm not scolding or trying to sound like I think that their path is incorrect. What I'm noticing is a lot of stuff. It's all about online now with social media and like live streaming and stuff. Like the label I work with, Orange Milk Records, like there's some really big artists on there that sell a lot of records, but most of them don't ever play live. You
Wow.
know, it's just like a whole internet culture. Like they
Just Twitch and stuff like that, yeah.
yeah, and, what's that what's the other one where people talk on like, communicate with their fans on it? Not Twitch, but,
Oh, there's a few. I know
um,
I tried the Twitch thing for a minute, and it was like, I don't know about this. I feel very
Discord.
Oh, di okay.
Discord's kind of a thing, and so, like, some of these Orange Milk bands, like, they have, like, their own Discord channel with, like, hundreds of people that
Wow.
follow them, and they communicate with their fans, they put out a thing, and their fans will buy it or whatever, and that's
Mm.
cool, and, like, I'm not saying I don't like that, I'm just saying I will never be able to exercise the demon inside me that wants to go pound the pavement and tour, even though I make electronic music.
Well, I feel like your show is very connected with the crowd too, isn't it?
It's a big part of it. I mean, I still, to this day, still am implementing the lessons I learned when I was in Musico. I mean,
yeah.
Even though I'm doing dance music, I still interact with the crowd, and it's very engaging.
I got it. So let's take a step back into time.
Yes.
When I met you and experienced what you were doing for the first time. Yes, it was with Musico, but the first time I saw the show as the Rainbow Man, it was life-changing for not only myself, but you could see it on the faces of everybody in the room.
Nice.
Because it was an integrated art show where it was like Darren in the Round, like
I put on the floor.
You were playing on the floor. Everybody, it was like the kid that knew how to break dance in grade school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, and then everybody got around him and was like, "Holy shit, he knows how to moonwalk. We got to check
right.
For you, it was like this kid it's not moonwalk, it's like passionate, like this kid's opening up a can of spinach and just freaking out. And it was so great to see that. Like your energy level, you're talking about 170 shows a year, but your energy level to stay up there must have been daunting. Like, how did you do that all the time? Was that your show?
Yeah.
Good God, dude.
I abuse my body like crazy, and I, to this day, I'm still paying the price for it a little bit. My knees aren't what they used to be, but
sure. Yeah, but it was like a physical thing.
I used to have all my jeans, the knees were worn out and like all stained with blood and everything. I saw Iggy Pop when I was in 8th grade, and it just moved me, dude. I saw Iggy, and like,
wow.
I love that. I really idealized that self-destructive frontman vibe. I thought that was like a really attractive thing. Like I'm gonna drink straight from the bottle and crowd surf, and I'm gonna I'm gonna French kiss a girl in the front row, and I'm gonna French kiss a guy in the front row.
And it was all okay. Everything about it was like acceptable.
Well,
it was just like, wow.
I have gotten completely naked several times when I played. I would definitely not do that now. I understand now, but like, about
back then it was maybe more acceptable.
But the idea was like, I was a chubby guy with a little penis, and I thought if I can be beautiful and comfortable, then everyone is beautiful and comfortable. So I thought it was kind of funny, But I was like, I was performing, drinking, and touring in the most self-destructive manner possible. It's like, let's play 200 shows this year. I'm going to damage my body at every single one, and I'm going to drink so I don't remember any of it. It was just like
unbelievable.
Chaos.
Wow. Did you ever, I'm just curious, and I know that is like, eventually it can take its toll. Did you ever end up in the hospital?
One time in New Zealand, I did the like fall down on my knees thing, where I jump in the air and land on my knees. And I landed on a pint glass that was on the ground.
Oh my God.
And I got all this glass in my leg. And I kept playing, and like I remember I was in Wellington, New Zealand, and I'm like still playing and rocking out, and this crowd is looking at me like, dude, stop. And I'm like, what's up? Who cares? And they're like, no, dude, you need to stop. And like, I look down and like, there's just blood and glass all over my leg. Like I didn't. And then I started feeling the pain, it kind of took a minute, between adrenaline and boost. So this was a cool story though, because I went to the ER there in Wellington, and they gave me stitches. The only time in my life I've had stitches, I think. And then at the end, they were like, "Oh, that'll be 200 New Zealand dollars." And I was like, I don't have any money. And they're like, "Okay." And then,
oh my gosh,
I had to get the stitches out in Christchurch, New Zealand. And I went to the doctor and got the stitches out. And they're like, "That'll be 200 New Zealand dollars." And I was like, "I don't have any money." And they're like, "Okay." And that was it. It was fucking awesome.
Just forgave it.
Socialized healthcare, baby.
Wow.
It changed my whole. I wrote an article in the Journal Star about that whole experience.
That is amazing, dude.
Like this is how America needs to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, do you still get people reaching out to you now about some of those performances?
Yeah. And when I tour and stuff, I still have a few fans who have clung on, but like pretty much everyone that used to really, with Shows Rainbow, I sold like 5,000-6,000 CDs of some of my CDs, and stuff. It's like, so there was like a fan base there, like I'd go to Chicago Chicago and 200 people would come, 300 to see me, you know, not just like be at the show, but like to actually see me. I had fans, but you know, it's just like with bandmates or promoters or anything, people start aging out of it and they just lose interest. I mean, like the idea that like the people who used to want to come get fucked up at a show's Rainbow show and party with me then, like would want to come to a problems show now is like ridiculous, you know, like
Right.
they would, yeah, it's just like a totally different world for everyone now. And like,
Well, it's just hard to keep that momentum of
yeah.
that experience, I guess, you know?
Well, like, I mean, when I toured with a band like The Faint, I went on tour with them, I don't know, like 6 years ago is the most recent time, but I've been touring on and off with them for years. It's like they have a whole different, they have a ton of fans still, but it's like different people, you know? It's like some old fans, but like, yeah, I mean, that's what you got to do. It's like, basically, I always think of it like you're like the music world is on like a 4-year cycle because of college, basically. Like, it all starts with like cute art students, and then like whatever they think is cool, then like kind of like transmutes out to like the other college kids, and then that becomes like what's cool for like 4 years, and then like 4 years later it's going to start over, and then there's like some hangover because obviously the idea of 4 years, I mean every year is a new year, but and then also like,
Right.
you know, but like, and then you have like cool older siblings or someone's dating someone who's older or younger and they know about shit. So like, so some bands like push through like Animal Collective or Health or stuff like that. Dan Deacon, I'm thinking of people from like my era, you know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
when I was coming up, yeah, I mean, like I just didn't, you know, like I was coming up with all those kind of people like Health and Meishi and Deacon and stuff. But yeah, Meishi's a good example. Like, and no one knows the Meishi anymore, but they were fucking huge. They almost headlined Pitchfork Fest, and like, you know,
Wow.
I did like 50 shows with that band. But like, you know, I mean, like, whereas like Dan Deacon is like continued to grow and get more famous or whatever and more popular and do big things. Like, Shows Rainbow just like started going the other way, you know.
Sure,
And that's
sure.
fine. I mean, that's just the nature of it. And also, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I think maybe some of it in hindsight maybe had to do with my self-destructive lifestyle, if I'm totally honest. Like I feel like I probably could have put out better music in those later years and probably been more organized and done better things if I had just been living a healthier lifestyle. But you
Well,
know,
like I
still have
said,
you.
it's just hard to it's hard to keep up on that. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't even imagine the level of, you know, what you would have to put into your body to keep up with that physically.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, that's a whole that's a whole 'nother bag, but
yeah.
just to keep that going. So that takes you through the Shows the Rainbow era, which was absolutely monumental,
Mhm.
for what it was. And you know, and you have to figure out ways to like reinvent yourself, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I started getting more interested towards the end of Shows Rainbow in like things like minimalist modern classical music, which I still love, and composition and stuff, which was well always like my favorites, like putting together these like complicated songs. And so that kind of birthed some of my other things I did, like Touch People and Darren Keen and stuff like that, where I was like doing other kinds of music and exploring that, you know. And I mean, all of that though combined like that, and all the music I had done previously has led me to doing Problems now.
Mhm.
Problems is like truly a culmination. Like, it has the live aspect, it has the producer aspect, the composer aspect, like
Yeah.
everything is like in this project, which is really nice for me. It's a very like working on Problems. I feel like when I started working on it at the very beginning, it really reminded me of Shows the Rainbow energy. Like, the name came to me, the project came to me all in just kind of like one swoop. Like, it wasn't like it didn't take me forever. Like, I conceptualized it like this is true with Shows Rainbow. With Shows Rainbow, I like started the idea in November of 2002, and my first show was New Year's Eve going into 2003. Like, within a month, I was playing, you know,
Yeah.
and like
Geez.
that's how this was too with Problems. It was like, oh, like okay, I'm conceptualizing, I'm seeing this idea for myself, and then like within like 2 months, I was playing. You know, it was just like,
Just
let's do
doing it.
this. Yeah.
Well, see, I think there's that, and I think that lends to your artistic ability to find, you know, these ideas and thoughts and just make them creative or creatively make them into pieces of work.
Thanks.
And
Yeah.
that's really kind of the vibe I get from you, especially looking at some of your song titles. I think that you look, obviously you have a love for animals. You have a
Dogs,
love,
yeah, dogs,
yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Oh,
dogs,
I do a little thing with, sharks too.
the sharks, yeah.
Well, because I sometimes will do songs where the bass line is just bum, 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 like the
Yeah,
Jaws theme song, so then
right.
I always name those songs after put Sugar in the Land, you
You
know?
gotta tell the people, when we connected on, you were actually enthralled with your dog chasing a squirrel around in a
My
circle
dog is
today.
chasing a squirrel. It's fucking awesome. Yeah. I've never seen it. That squirrel toys with my dog all the time, so it's fun to see him actually play.
Well, I love the impulsive creativity, and that to me, there's something to be said about that, where it's just organic, and I would imagine that your shows take on that sort of same vibe when you're at the helm and when you're in control of the crowd or in control
Yeah.
of the show. I think that that's where you really shine, and you've always been that way. And it's
Thanks,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think about music a lot differently now too. Like there's like a two with shows the Rainbow and some of those. It was just like a one-step process of just like maybe kind of like painting a picture. Let's equate it to something like that to create a song. Like would be the
Mhm.
same as painting a picture. But for me now, like I think of there's like two elements to creating a problem song. There's a creative, magical, fun part that you could equate to painting a picture, but there's also the tidying up and production and the mixing side of it, which I love. I love producing. That I would equate more to like designing a logo. You know,
Mm.
like it feels like in some ways there's almost right and wrong answers with production. It's like
Mhm.
I want this like the kick drum should be this loud and be hitting these frequencies, you know, and like the snare needs to be this loud relative to the kick, on and on down the line, you know, till you have what I would call a good mix. And like
Mhm.
that quest to balance those things is incredibly interesting and exciting to me, because like it just brings the whole thing together. It's like if you just painted the most beautiful picture in the world, but then just like canvas on a floor in a dimly lit basement of a U stop or something. It's like, well, no, you want to put that picture in a nice frame and get it, you know, so see it. They understand the color contrast, and you know what I mean. Like you
Mhm.
want it to be presented well, and
Right.
I mean presented well. I can't control every PA system that I play through, and I can't control who listens to it on what system, but I can control the mix, you know. And like and so I've gotten real interested in like the way that like electronic music. It's like there's another artistry, and it's a different artistry to getting like a mix. And like I'll just be I love. I mean, I think being humble is cool and great and all, but like just to cut to the chase, because this podcast isn't a 5-day thing. I'm good at mixing. I'm really good. I've gotten really good at it. You know, I can like
Nice. Yeah.
make like a song that is like gonna sound really, really hard hitting on a big PA system. Like when I play at the Grove or something, like that system
Right.
hits, you know, it hits super hard. It's cool. It's like that's that. Not every, and I'm not, and like everyone could know how to do that, and hopefully, if they want to, they will. But like, I'm just saying, like that's not something everyone immediately knows how to do. You know, is like how to like mix a kick drum that's gonna like shake the room, and like
Right.
I that's been a fun journey for me.
That's really great, and so, you know, that's kind of, my personal journey through music creation has led me to where I'm at with creativity and tech and all
Mhm.
this kind of that stuff too, and I
Yeah.
think, I would urge people out there to go to I'vegotproblems.net, which is Darren's website, and it's a super fun website. He's got his tracks here you can check out, and you too can listen to some of these songs. I'm gonna not play them because I think they're on Spotify, and they have a weird way of shutting stuff down nowadays.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna urge people to just go check it out, and that way it helps you in the long run. But there's
Yeah.
also, a bunch of really fun stuff, some information here, some tour dates, obviously,
Yep. I'm
and
about to
that
announce a West Coast tour. Those
oh,
ones are
what?
out of date
Yep,
with them, so
right, and he's got a little information about which I think is amazing.
yeah.
Most of my lyrics are about, Pekingese dogs, specifically Wilbur. So Wilbur's your dog, I take it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I
So I
had a
want everybody to check that out for sure.
I had a different Pekingese. Her name was Pig Boy, and she died 3 days after I got out of rehab, which was like,
Oh,
yeah,
I remember Pig
fucking.
Boy.
Okay, so this is that story is so sad and crazy to think about, but this is a pretty funny story about it. So I found out I was at El Chaparro with some people I go to a certain social club with. I found out my dog had just died, and so I was out in the El Chaparro parking lot crying. I'd been out of rehab like 3 days, and I'm bawling in the parking lot. And I saw Billy Barnes and Candace, and Billy does like Pterogenesis, and he was in Drug Salad, and and these are like buddies of mine, and they're like going into El Chaparro, and they see me breaking down crying in the parking lot, And then like later I'm on Facebook and Billy's like, dude, you just got out of rehab and you're already drunk crying in the parking lot. And I'm like, no, I wasn't drunk. I found out my dog died.
Oh, he thought you were drunk?
Yeah, they thought I was boozing again.
Oh, man.
And so that was like, I think that's kind of a funny story that like,
that is
yeah,
funny.
like it appeared that
Wow.
I had already fallen off the wagon. But anyway, yeah, like,
that's
that was,
hilarious.
yeah. But
Well,
yeah,
you and I share a love for El Chaparro. I think that's one of the better Mexican
oh my
places in
God, fucking
town.
awesome. But I mean,
Incredible.
let's Taqueria El Rey at 27th and L is my
That
fucking
is. Yes. That's a
oh
good
my
one too,
God,
man. Yeah.
that tongue meat there is
Yeah.
unbelievable. I
Yes.
used
The
to be really
lingua.
squeamish about food, and now I love the fucking gross
So
meats,
this is a great time to talk
man.
about this because I have
Yeah.
got to tell you, man, and a couple other people have been on my podcast through the pandemic that I've talked about being on the cooking through the pandemic
Yes.
Facebook group,
Love
which
that group.
was a genius idea. From a couple different people started it, and then it's changed hands admin wise over the months. But some great pictures. People are still at it and posting some incredible stuff. But I got to say, just like your music and just like your life, you have figured out a way to experiment with some of the most, excuse me, but fucked up stuff ever. And
Yeah, that was
it's so great, but at the same time, it's like, and all of us have kind of been there, I would imagine, where we open the fridge and just go, "Kids, does that work?"
yeah.
Like, and so there's things that you do though that are just like, so
I
tell me a little bit about this.
Well, so I fell in love with cooking right before my sobriety quest started. I was working at Amumanu ramen restaurant downtown in the
Mhm.
kitchen. And up until then I never realized this, but I was a kind of picky eater. And then having to prepare stuff for a Japanese restaurant like really, really got me over that. Like prepping calamari. Well, if you prep calamari in a kitchen, then you'll never be scared of food again. It's like that's about the grossest shit you can do, making
Right?
broth, making beef broth. Like, well, let's get these chicken necks out or whatever. So it's like
Yeah.
I all of a sudden was over all my little food aversions and everything, and got really into cooking. And I started, I watched the Food Network a lot,
Oh, we love it.
and I love cooking shows. And one thing I never had thought about before was like the balance between sweet and salty, and like sour and all this stuff, and all like I didn't know what the word umami was, and so yeah, I mean, like, I started getting real interested in cooking, and I think the thing that really holds people back is the fear of having to do dishes. I swear to fucking God, people will not cook because they don't want to have to fucking do dishes.
Yeah.
And it's like, a side note, just do your dishes right away, even before you eat, and then they're
I know.
done. But anyway, like,
Exactly.
don't let them pile up, asshole, and then you're good. Anyway, I can't believe I'm saying that. The me of 5 years ago is laughing at myself right now.
Yeah.
Like, okay, man. Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, like I like pickles are good with everything, but like people don't think of that, But it's like pickles are great. Like, and I get I'm doing keto now, so my food
Oh, wow.
explorations aren't as fun like anymore. I just eat a lot of meat and cheese. But like, but for a long time, I was very, very into tortilla. I love tortillas. I just can't eat them as like I used to. I get these carb balanced tortillas, but they don't cook up quite the same. So yeah, I was making all kinds of fun, like tortilla based things with a lot of hot dogs and
Mhm.
tortillas.
Yeah. Hot dogs were used in some incredible ways, I gotta say.
Yeah, and then I had a little fryer for a while, and I was kinda fucking with that, like,
You have an air
um
fryer or no?
I have an air fryer now. I have a kick-ass air fryer
It's
now.
a changer, isn't it? It's a
Yeah, I
life
had a
changer.
little basket one just to kinda get my sea legs, and then for Christmas, my mom got me a real kick-ass air fryer. So,
Nice, dude.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
against I mean, it's funny, it's like no matter how good or bad of a cook you are, the air fryer will just, like, knock
Yeah.
you up one notch, It's
Yes.
it's so good. But I still
Yeah.
like to do pan frying, like, at some point, usually to get a little char on the outside and stuff,
Yeah.
I mean, nothing the air fryer is cool, but, like, cooking a piece of chicken in olive oil, or butter with
Yeah.
some sauces in the pan, integrates more flavor, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But
For
yeah,
sure.
I cook every day, like, I mean, and I still post in that group, but my meals now so, like, today, I made 2 fried eggs and melted a hunk of Gouda over the top of them,
Nice.
and, I mean, that's all I'm doing now just because 'cause I'm on this strict diet,
Right. Yeah,
but the
yeah.
diet's been good for me. So during the pandemic, when I had, like, started drinking again, and I was eating like a pig, but it was fun, but I got up to over 400 pounds. And
wow.
I'm
And
not
you,
body shaming anyone else who's that, you know what I mean? Whatever, I'm
wow,
not. But for me, I was pre-diabetic and everything.
wow.
And yeah, I'm down to 350 now from keto and doing little tiny workouts every day, 6 minute workouts.
I see the progress, man. It's
It's wild.
incredible. And
Yeah,
I gotta say, I love your mother.
yeah, she's a
And
trip.
your mom, when she makes an appearance in some of your posts, is the funniest thing. Like, the other day, I saw one, and I spent a lot of time with it because I was laughing so hard. You guys were
Yardbirds one.
driving down the road,
Uh-huh.
and you had you were in the forefront, and she was in the back, and you were
Mhm.
just going, "Dah."
No, it was, yeah,
What
you're
was
not
it?
gonna hear it, but "For Your Love" by the Yardbirds were playing.
Oh, yeah.
And
But
I would
what
just go,
you were just
"For Your
make
Love!
oh, yeah, "My love."
For Your
Yeah,
Love!"
that's what it was. It was just a noise, right? You're just like, "My love."
Mhm.
And you did it, like, maybe 5 times, and then finally she noticed,
Yeah.
and she was just like, "What the hell are you
Well,
doing?"
so I had been singing along with that. It's like I just think that I love that fucking song, by the way. I think that song is so cool.
That's
Spirit
okay.
did a fucking killer cover of it back in the day. I love
Oh my
For Your Love.
god. I didn't
And,
even get the song part. I was, like,
yeah,
laughing at
so you can kinda hear it in the background there, but yeah, so I was doing that, and she was just, like, driving, and it just sometimes it's like what
oh.
occurs to me is like, it's like, wow, I do so much weird stuff around my mom that, like, it doesn't even fucking phase her. You
No,
know
it
what I mean?
doesn't. She's
Like,
just
I'm like,
along for the ride, man.
we're
I
playing
love
Free
it.
Love, and I'm going, "Fire Love," and she's just like, "Okay." Like, what like, she doesn't
Yeah.
like, "What are you doing, my son?"
But you
But
guys have just
actually,
a
when
great
she looks over in
relationship.
that video, she's not even looking at me, she's just looking because she's changing lanes.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
the only
she's
reason her head
changing
even
lanes,
turns, dude.
yeah. Right.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a fun car one too with, Bohemian Rhapsody where we did the Wayne's World headbang, and
Oh, nice, yeah.
yeah, I mean, she's my mom and my dad died, in the during the pandemic,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Gee.
of, Alzheimer's, but which was
Wow.
really fucking terrible, oh my god,
Sorry to
but,
hear that. I didn't know
yeah,
that.
that's okay. He but they my parents my whole life, have been so extremely fucking supportive of me doing music and being a weird kid, you know? They
Sure.
never, there was never any, like, "Well, aren't you gonna quit that and go to college?" You know, like, that kind of thing at all, you know?
Right.
It was just like they saw what I was doing, and I think they knew, like, they were both kind of wild when they were younger too, so I think they knew, like, well, there's no point in, like, trying to talk him out of this,
Yeah,
and,
it's
like,
just
kind
who
of
he is. Yeah.
yeah. But, yeah,
Wow.
so even, like, to this day I mean, I live with my mom. I live with my
Yeah.
fucking mom now 'cause so part of I moved back home then, when to get sober again, and then also because, I was helping take care of my dad as he was getting
Sure.
ready to transition to death, and,
Yeah.
then, and
Well,
so now
she
I'm still here, I'm just kinda, like, chilling at home, figuring out what's next, but yeah,
well,
I
that's
mean, me and my
great,
mom,
man. I mean,
we're, like, super fucking close, you know?
it's a supportive, I can tell it's a very supportive relationship,
Fucking
and
awesome, yeah.
it's, you know, I think it's kind of, I don't know how to say it. Sometimes those people just come out of nowhere, and they're angels for sure. I don't know if you wanna say that, but,
Yeah,
like,
sure.
they definitely are, but she's a gem. When
She's
she shows
amazing.
up, she's like when she shows up in your videos, it just makes me laugh so hard because I have relationships with family members like
Yeah.
that too, where I'm just like, I can be as weird as I want around this person, and they will not care. And that's
She,
just so
drives me around sometimes, and, like,
yeah.
sometimes, like, she'll drop me off where I'm meeting some people or something, and they'll be like, "Hey, we know you," and she
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
so
I
funny.
told her she is famous, dude. I
Yeah,
mean,
she's
you have, like, you have followers, man.
it's funny, yeah.
It's a very unique, thread to follow, but I love it.
She's
But
great. I mean, like, like, she's made me not feel, she's really proud of me now for getting back sober and working my program, and she's been real helpful with that. I mean,
great.
when I went back out and started drinking again, she was so bummed, but she didn't do a whole, like, she didn't take me down a bad path of that. She just wanted me to get sober again. She's been driving me to meetings, and well, I shouldn't
Yeah,
talk about that. Wait, driving me to an anonymous social club that I attend, and
right,
then
right.
yeah, like, just being kick ass, just being a generally, like, super
Yeah.
positive, helpful person, like, yeah, it's been great.
So
She's
what's next for you, man?
I'm gonna do more podcasts where I just talk about my mom the whole time.
Yeah, let's do that.
What's
Let's
next?
do that.
Okay,
Hey, why
so,
not? Because that is a chapter of your life, man. That's not
I
it's
am doing
alright.
Problems full time now, and also, okay, so I'm gonna do some touring. I just put out a really cool. I have an album that I have the tape copies, but it hasn't come out online yet. With
Okay,
this really cool label called Orange Milk Records. That's like really cool, like vaporwave and progressive electronic label. So I'm
nice.
working with them. they help me with Darren Keen stuff. And then I have a new tape coming out on Orb Tapes, which is a pretty seminal Midwest like noise and experimental label. So it's
Okay.
for some reason I'm working with all these cool tape labels, which is it's like I make really well produced dance music to listen to it on a dead medium, but that's and then whatever. I mean, every medium's dead now, right? And then so I'm doing that. I'm doing my West Coast tour in June, and then I don't really talk about this too much, but I'm gonna give you a exclusive. You want a exclusive?
Yeah, man.
All right, I'm gonna give you the exclusive juicy.
Nice.
I've been getting into doing some freelance like composer work for stuff. I've been doing some stuff like that, more commercial work, but not commercials, but I would love to do commercials. I've been working with just for myself, absolutely freelance. So to be clear, I do not work for this company, but I've done a couple of things for that Netflix hired me to do.
Whoa.
And that's been really cool.
Jesus.
And yeah, and then I was working on a video game, but the video game went into development hell. But I'm still tight with the guy who runs it and produced it, and like might be doing a new game with him. We're kind of up in the air about that. But yeah, I'm getting into stuff like that. And like as the times change and like my view of touring becomes less and less relevant, and more difficult to facilitate. I'm really enjoying doing the producer work. And like on this last tour I was on, I actually got a gig and had to like, when I was in Chicago for 4 days, I just like worked all day in the studio and then like did my gigs at night. And like, I didn't know that was going to happen. I just got it like while I was on the road and had to fulfill this thing. But, like I'd like to do more of that. I want to get more into doing work like that, for not just, for who I've worked for in the past, but like, I want to do more like scoring and like audio branding and stuff like that.
I can totally see you doing that.
I really fucking enjoy it.
That's a great path, man. Good for you.
Yeah,
I think that's exciting.
Yeah, the projects I did went real well, and like I'm looking forward to like trying to figure that. I think my buddy Derek, who made that website, he DJs here in town and produces his Oceans. I might have him build me another site if he's willing to do it, just for like my composition work, just kind of the same thing, and just put a little like reel up there or something. I don't need to talk through this right now on your podcast, but anyway, I might send an email to this one guy.
No, I want to get a hold of Sally. She was super.
Are you my therapist or my podcast friend right now?
Right? Yeah, exactly. So how do
So anyway,
this is great, man.
I'm trying to get some juice going with that too, and
I can totally see you doing that. That's really cool.
Composition has been a thing I've been interested in forever. So I think I'm fucking awesome at it, and I'm doing good. And then like, do you know Dietrich Liz Hitt's kid?
Oh yeah.
He's in like UNL school for composition, and Liz posted this video of his like junior or senior, like I can't be senior because I think he's still in school, but like something he did where it was like, now they're gonna play a piece he composed, and it was like it was so extremely good. Like It sounded like it could have been an A24 movie soundtrack or something, like from The Witch or Midsummer or something, like super dissonant, string tones, like cool. He knew how to like, put the interesting root notes or bottom notes that weren't the root in there and making all these cool things. And I'm just like, oh man, like I felt so, well, before I would have felt defeated, but in my older age, I'm learning to feel inspired, like that fucking rules. That kid's doing that. Like I can do that. That's cool.
That's great.
And so anyway, like I've added Dietrich on Facebook, and like, I think I maybe shot him a message. I can't remember, but it's like, I thought like that guy really had some stuff figured out. And it's like, okay, like like right now, the scoring work I've done has all been a little more like electronic. Like I did like a thing that kind of sounded like a nightly news theme song, and I did this kind of like chiptune sounding thing. But it's like I'd like to like write something for strings, or something. Like I know how to do that. Like that's a muscle I don't really get to flex very often. So
that's so badass. Well, in schools now, high schools, like for example, my son's taken essentially a how to record class, but it's all software based. And it's like, so they're getting kids into this early, so they go down the tech path and really engulf themselves into writing music for video games and stuff like this.
It's a super valuable skill to have. And like,
it's incredible.
Like, here's the thing. Like, I don't know, we didn't really touch on this, but like with Shows the Rainbow and Touch People, I had video that synced up to all my songs for a long time too. I did the video thing. So I put a video screen at the front of the stage, and then I played on the floor. and the videos synced up real tight to the music, and like I made all those videos, and like the thing was like I love, like one time Tim Scale interviewed me for a podcast he used to do, and he asked me what my favorite instrument was, and I had never been asked that, my favorite instrument to whatever, and I the digital timeline is my favorite creative tool. Like I think kids should know about the digital timeline from a young age, because like when you start to understand the linear nature of audio and visual art, video art, you know, like that's a really important thing. Like, but like even like kids now, like that's why they're good at TikTok. You know, they know how to make these videos where it's like do 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 do.
Yeah,
you know, it's like that's cool. Like that's actually why these kids are making these kick-ass videos at such young ages. Is like they, like when we were kids, you know, like watching a TV show felt like magic, you know. It's like you don't think about a guy in an editing bay cutting tape together or whatever, you know. It's like it just was, you know.
Or like creating cartoons back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Jesus. And now it's like we all know that stuff now, and it's like it's sort of like even, or like this is kind of another equivalent. I remember I was in New Zealand a different time, and I was playing with Dan Deacon in New Zealand at this big festival, and we were watching Dent May play, and there was like a few thousand people there or whatever, and we're watching Dent May, and Dan says to me, he says, "Don't you wish you could go back to that time in your life, like before you knew how shows worked, and it was like all magic?" And it was like, I was like, fuck, Dan, you just like ruined, like, I mean, he was so right though. It's like, yeah, like I'll never get that feeling again. You know, like I used to go see a local band at Knickerbockers, and it's like you don't think about like guys loading gear into the van, getting there, sound checking. One guy's drinking too much. The band has all these dynamics. Like you would watch a band, and it was just like, wow, that's a band on stage. That's magic, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, I still think there's magic to a show, but like anytime I attend any public event now, I'm thinking about the lighting. I'm thinking about where's the booking office, who did this, you know, blah, 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 there's a sound booth over there. But it's like, and so anyway, my point is, we've all our generation, and we're getting older now. We already knew about like behind the curtain, you know, like we had DVDs that had special features that showed behind the scenes. But this younger generation that's so online, like while a movie's being made, the actors and actresses are tweeting and Instagramming, and the whole process is just like out there. So I think to show kids like what the digital timeline is and how editing works of music and video and everything like that, it's like it's good, because those are actually now like, whereas like when I got a pirated copy of Adobe Premiere and made those videos, that was like a skill. Like I probably could have moved to New York and got a job editing porno or something, you know. But like, now it's like that, now that's just a base level thing you can do on your fucking phone, and everyone should know how to do it at a young age, you know, because with the next advancements in that technology are going to be something you and me can't predict, you know. Well, maybe I know you're more into like film and stuff and like and that world, so maybe you know some stuff that I don't, but like I'm just saying, like I can't see around that corner, you know. Like to me it's still just like I love like micro editing and hyper editing, and that was like the world that I thought was so cool, like the Tim and Eric and DJ Doug Pound type stuff, just like you know,
it's an ever changing world of you know, the animation is getting crazy, and
awesome,
you know, it's just there's a lot of opportunity if you've got your fingers in that pot now. You can grow into that, and that's where I kind of see you doing that. So it's really exciting to hear you kind of on that path. I think that's great, man.
Yeah, I've kind of learned too, like, so with Shows the Rainbow, like that was a real exercise in ego. Like I did everything. I designed the art. I did everything. I'm colorblind, and I can't draw a stick figure to save my life. But I thought I had to design the artwork for whatever reason. And now in my later years, I'm realizing it's really fun to actually sort of collaborate with people. Like, you know what I'm good at? I'm good at writing, mixing, and mastering. Like, I'll have someone else design the artwork. I'll have someone else kind of like do my website. You know, it's like I'm learning what to pass off and what not. Even for that song "Love of a Dog," I went on to the app Fiverr and paid a guy $15 to edit together that anime edited video, because I was just like, I mean, I didn't want to have to sit down and pirate software. I'm not gonna buy Final Cut because I'm not that into it. You know, it's like instead of buying Final Cut, I can just like pay people who that's their fucking jam, you know, and like who will see a better vision and do it better than me. That video, he made that video for $15. I tipped him another 15 for $30 in 24 hours. I mean, I would have spent like 2 weeks and come up with something that looks shittier. So it's like, that's, you know, I'm kind of, there's something about like people are finding their real niche. When someone finds their own niche, it's like, let them handle that. I remember Dustin Wilburn played in Shows Rainbow a little bit. He's a great graphic designer. I don't know if you know Dustin. Yeah, you know Dustin. He was in Blake on Blue. He was like,
Dustin. Yeah.
Manslaughter. He's a great graphic designer, fucking incredible. And we were doing some shows, and like he's like, I'll design the poster, and I got super insulted and shitty about it. I was like, and he's like, fine, dude, you can do the poster, like, whatever, like, and then it was like, and then in hindsight, looking back on that, it's like, why the fuck Dustin would have made something amazing, and it's like, I'm literally colorblind, don't know anything. It's like, why didn't I just let him do the poster? I don't know.
It's well, it is what it is, man. You kind of knew where you were going. So that's all part of it. But man, this has been awesome. Thank you so much.
We're halfway done, everyone. We're halfway to a 2 hour and 20 minute goal.
Keep it going, boys. But this is crazy, and I feel like this is such a fun opportunity for me because I know you from back in the day, but honestly haven't talked to you like this. Ever. It's so crazy. It's crazy.
Well, when we normally talk, we're not just sitting around letting me be self-absorbed and only talking about me. I mean, you know that I'm a fan of your stuff and your family, and like I played with your brother.
Yes.
Back in the day, and like, so it's like, if I see you, we're not just gonna go down the Darren rabbit hole. Hopefully.
Well, I know, but this is so rad, man, because half of this stuff half of this stuff I've never heard from you. So this is once in a while, it's nice to just be like, tell me about you, man. So that's what I appreciate about this opportunity to have this show and to have people like you on here, because I think there's other people in the community that also feel that way, and it's a nice and in the world too. Shit, you're like worldwide, so there's a lot of people that don't know your story and where you want to go. This is pretty cool stuff. So I appreciate you being on.
Wakes up and starts watching the feed, man. This one's gonna blow up.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I really do. These are the early episodes, and I've got some killer ideas for this in the future. And during the pandemic, I kind of became this talk show host, so it's been really fun to pull back the can on some of these local musicians and nationwide musicians. So anyway, I appreciate you being on, and we kind of know where you're going, but do you have any closing thoughts you want to say?
Just if you kind of knew Shows Rambo back in the day and you kind of haven't been checking in with me in a while, that's totally fine. I don't take any of that personal. I know everyone's life happens to everyone, but check out Problems. I'm really proud of what I'm doing now, and like how many, I've stuck it out this long. It's kind of like that's something to be proud of. I've had fun with it. So it's maybe give me a little check out and see what you think. Maybe. So some of my friends, like, they tell me their kids like my music because it talks about dogs and it's kind of got a playful vibe. So
yeah. Oh, we have one question that just came in actually from Vince Rule, who's badass as well. He says,
that guy.
Do you know Vince? You know Vince, yeah.
We did a project together. We did the Coffee Roasters. Problem signature after hours blend, and they helped me distribute my coffee mugs.
Right, man. Oh, that's right. Vince is super cool.
I'm drinking tea from their store right now, actually.
Perfect, dude. Perfect. He says it's hard to predict the future of tech, but one thing that appears to be coming is the metaverse. Darren, have you thought about creativity in that new world?
I have not thought about creativity in that world. I'm moving into Snoop Dogg's guest house in his metaverse mansion right now. So I'm just unpacking right now, unfortunately. Once I get my virtual studio set up. No, I'm interested in all that. That'd be cool. And like the label I work with, Orange Milk, like there are guys in there, I'm sure, who are already like on that tip.
Sure.
I would probably need, that's probably another area where like I would need someone to help me. What I'm not going to be interested in is like figuring out how to log into the metaverse. Like I'll need someone who's into the tech part of that to help guide me and like kind of like manage that for me. But I would love to do stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, we talked about Twitch earlier. I kind of feel like when I'm in Twitch, I'm in the metaverse. Like, there's so many different rooms going on at the same time and people doing all this wacky stuff. I just feel kind of, I'm not there yet personally, but yeah, I mean, that's where things are going, man. You can't deny it. So, but that's an interesting question. Thanks, Vince. And thanks for everybody for tuning in. We've had a nice batch of people watching and giving us some love. So
nice.
Snoop Dogg is lucky to have you, he says. Right on. Yes, he is.
Yeah, it's all about dogs with me, whether it's Wilbur or Snoop Dogg, hot dogs. I love dogs.
Yeah, hot dogs. Yeah, man. Awesome. Well, this has been super cool, and I can't wait to touch base with you soon.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing, man. You're on the right track. And man, much love to Darren Keen. Thank you for joining us today.
Much love back, dude. Thank you. This was fun.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you soon. And I'm going to play a little closing, which I think is super cheesy, but it's our closing with a really...
Oh, wait, who did your little theme song? Who did the theme song for you?
I wrote it, but it's so terrible. I wrote it
in like
2 seconds. Yeah. I actually didn't play it at the beginning, but I'll play it at the end. It's a fine piece of garbage that somehow has lingered, and I'm going to leave it. So I might reproduce it all. Maybe you and I can make it all like super polished someday.
You know the guy.
Right on, brother. Hey, happy Saturday. We'll see you soon, brother. All right, take care. Bye, guys. I'm dishing with musicians. I'm dishing with musicians. A talk show about history. I'm dishing with musicians. I'm dishing with musicians. Let's take a stroll down music history.